Just I'll take 1 more minute. So my screen is visible. Can you please confirm? Anybody?
Yes, visible.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So yesterday we covered till handling of flammable liquids. So we start from covering the other type of chemicals. Okay. Just a second. Today we'll start with flammable gases, following corrosive chemicals and handling of cylinders, etc. Okay. So when I say handling of flammable gases, so these gases are generally contained in cylinders or in a compressed liquid or dissolved state. Flammable gases will pose fire hazards and they can leak or escape from their containers. That is then a quite obvious the characteristics. Hence, it is in pressurized state. So wherever or whenever it get a chance, it tries to escape from the containers. Also, when a gas is subjected to high pressure, it would burst the container with the serious consequences. So for this sentence, I can take an example. When also subject to high pressure, it could burst the container with serious consequence. When I say high pressure, maybe while filling or sometimes if the cylinder is heated up due to the volume is increases, then there is a chance of bursting of a cylinder. And anybody can relate the example, especially in case of any fire accident happen in any home. So there, if the cylinder is involved in fire, so if the cylinder is involved in fire, it will increases the pressure due to the more evaporation or increasing the vapor density, so that it will chance to have an explosion. And in handling and storage, it must be ensured that the cylinders are protected from the damage or deterioration and heat. Some of the precautions we'll see in the next slide. So when handling, so the cylinders are protected from damage. When I say damage, there are different types. When I say deterioration, uh, dragging of the cylinders. So especially if you see in industrial cylinders, where you use argon or CO2, oxygen, and other cylinders, they used to drag the cylinders. So while dragging, due to over a period of time, it will lose the material, the surface. It may chance to damage. Also, we are not supposed to allow those cylinders to expose to the heat or direct sunlight or any additional external heat. The other one, we are not supposed to allow to interact or to collide each other. So I mean that we can talk in cylinders handling. Okay, these are the precautions we have to handle on a handling of flammable gases. The cylinder should not be dropped and dragged, rolled on there, or other their side or permitted to strike one another. Yeah, I think here also we have covered it. So whenever you are handling cylinders, it should not be dropped from the heights, and it should not be dragged, and also it should not be rolled on the side. When I say rolled on the side, in a horizontal position, or permitted to strike one another or uh, any other surface violently. We are not allowed to allow those cylinders to strike each other. Strike in the sense, come and hit each other while storing, or any other surface. Okay. When any removable caps are provided for the valve protection, such caps should be in place all the times except when the cylinders are in use. It is safer to use suitable trucks to move them even though short distances. So industrial cylinders will have valve caps. So those valve caps should be on uh, the valves except when the cylinders are in use. In other cases, it should be always, the cap should be over the valve. And also we have to use the suitable trucks or trolleys or stands to carry the cylinders from one place to other place, and they must not be lifted by their caps or their uh, or when the aid of the rope or any chain slings. So they should not be lifted with the cap. It has to be lifted by the ropes. And also safe cradle platform with the guards rail should be used for the purpose. So that is also important. And also safe cradle platform. When you say cradle platform, so it is in a kind of a frame we can create. So it should have the side rails so that it can't tilt or it can't fall away. And cylinder should not be used as rollers or supports for any purpose other than the contain the contents as received. So sometimes they use the cylinders as supporters to hold something or to roll any heavy objects, etc. So in our homes also, in villages, we used to use the wooden logs to move any heavy rocks or any heavy things. So you are not supposed to use these cylinders as a support or any other purposes. Then storage room for the cylinders should be dry, cool, and well ventilated. Where practical, or they should be fire resistant construction and highly flammable solvents, combustion waste materials, corrosives, and also cylinders of oxygen should not be stored near cylinders containing flammable gases. So again, this is about the compatibility. The storage room should be dry, cool, and well ventilated, so that, well ventilated in the sense, the air should flow freely, so that whatever the leakage happens, it can dilute before it is becoming in a hazardous nature. Okay. And where practical, a threshold, so where practical, they should be fire resistant construction. So the wall should be fire resistant construction, and also highly flammable solvents or combustible waste materials, corrosives, and cylinders of oxygen should not be stored near these flammable gases. These are corrosive, or these are incompatible with the flammable gases, so we are not supposed to store. And indoor locations, they should be kept off on the ground, on a raised concrete pad, or any combustible rack, or the shielded from sun by means of non-combustible canopy. So if we are storing in outdoor locations, so it should be within the on the ground, on the concrete pads, or any non-combustible racks. You can make in a racks, or you can keep it inside with a uh, shielded roofs which are uncombustible or non-combustible canopies. Like we prefer concrete structures. Now, flammable solids. So again, it is in a large variety of solids are available in the market. Even industries they use, even other places present for fire risk as well. Flammable materials should become particularly hazardous under certain conditions. Some possess an ability of being easily ignited by external sources, such as sparks and flames. Some others are liable to heat spontaneously and ignite. Okay, these are normal condition; they'll be fine. Only in few conditions, it may turn to hazardous situation. Okay, some others are liable for heat spontaneously and ignite. Certain metals have a property of releasing flammable gases when it in contact with water. So this is also very important. A few materials, it may chance to release the flammable gases when it contact with water. In the handling and storage of various flammable solids, apart from the taking normal precautions, additional precautions will be taken to be uh, guard against their hazards posed due to the condition or circumstances under which flammable materials may become a severe fire risk. So we have to storage all the solids apart from taking the normal precautions. Additional precautions will be taken. So when I say additional precautions, so definitely again we have to reverse the MSDS accordingly. We have to store. There we'll get the storage precautions and also the incompatible materials. Accordingly, we can store this flammable solids. And again other materials, so bales of cotton or jute, so again it also represents a solid material which are easily ignitable. So with an ignition source of any fire initially flashes over the fibers and the surface on it, it travels slower rate between the bales and into an individual bales. Ignition source may be electricity, mechanical sparks, or smoking matches, or bale should be protected from such sources. So when we say bales, so we have discussed in IS 102 in the textile section where after taking the cotton from the farmers, they will take out the seeds from the cotton, then they will press it as a bales, like it is in a solid piece of cotton. So those bales can also have a high chance of ignition because it is in a cotton, highly flammable in nature. The mechanical sparks and smoking or matches or electricity will be the common sources for igniting the cotton bales. So electricity wiring in the warehouses for the bale should be installed in a rigid metal conduits or for the protection against the mechanical damage. Sparks producing from electrical equipment, including the switches, fuses, circuit breakers, should be dust tight enclosures. Warehouse to be a non-combustible construction with a floors sloping to prevent the accumulation of water, and pile sizes to be not too large and also about 3 wide aisles space to be maintained. So when I say pile sizes, it should not be too large. Also, we should maintain 3 meters aisle in between the piles so that it can accommodate us in the case of firefighting. So with the bales of jute, at least 1 meter wide space should be left along the walls and also the bales of the other fibers. So at least a zero point 0.8 wide gap is to be left. The height of the pile should be limited, taking into the account of floor loading capacity and also weight of the bales. When soaked with water, in the case of at least 1 meter, head clearance is also maintained between the top of the files and the also uh, deflectors or any sprinklers. So it is basically we should maintain at least 1 meter gap between the sprinklers heads and also For the side walls, we have to maintain 1 meter wide space so that it can allow us to do a firefighting. Even not only bales, any warehouse, it is always preferable to have a 1 meter space from the wall side so that we can able to do a firefighting. Then bituminous coal. So this is also one of the flammable solids. So it represents flammable solids liable to spontaneous combustion. So it absorbs oxygen from the air, and the absorption is more rapid when the coal is freshly mined or contains much fine dust. Two cases. Whenever it absorbs more oxygen, ఎప్పుడైతే ఇది అప్పుడే మైనింగ్ జరుగుతుందో ఫ్రెష్గా మైన్ చేసింది, then whenever it's having a fine dust, there you will take the it will take the fine dust. The moisture adds oxidation. Coal should not be stored in contact with uh, sources of external heat or over trenches, manhole covers, and also similar surfaces which may allow a movement of air through piles. In ads, piles height is limited to 3 meters with a low grade coal and 5 meters with a best grade coals. So even the piles also we can limit it to 3 meter or 5 meter. And again, where the winds are used for the storage, so they should be a non-combustible materials with a structure of roofed over to protect the coal from the rain. The space above the coal should be have adequate ventilation to prevent the concentration of gases given off the coal. So to prevent the concentration in the sense, it should not become more and more, so that if you provide enough ventilation, it can go away or it can dilute. Then calcium carbide and alkali metals are some of the solids again, which when it contact with water, it liberates flammable gases. So in the case of the gases released by the released may be ignited from the heat of a reaction. These materials are to be packed airtight containers and also stored in dry, cool, and well ventilated building of non-combustible or fire resistant construction. Okay, this is also one case, and they should be separated from the combustible oxidizing agents and also mineral acids. So these metals are highly incompatible with water, so it has to be stored airtight containers. When I say airtight containers, so it is not only direct water, even the water vapor in the atmosphere also can chance to react with these materials, can liberate flammable gases. Okay. Then handling of corrosive chemicals. So corrosive chemicals, as we know, basically those are acidic in nature, will cause severe damage when it is contact with living tissues or in the case of leakage, and materially damage or can destroy the surrounding they come in contact with. So basically, whenever the living tissues which are there, they have, whenever it is contact with any living tissues, for example, if any person is exposed within a corrosion or corrosive chemical, so starts it will eating up of the cells. It will damage the cells. That is also one thing. Okay. Then it is likely to cause a fire when it in contact with organic materials and also certain chemicals. Certain corrosive substances have more than series of properties like toxicity and flammability, like benzene, even chlorine, are the a common classed as toxic or flammable, etc., rather than the corrosives. So it will have more natures. So the important corrosive substance or acids and also anhydrous alkalis, halogens, halogen salts, or organic halides and organic acid halides enters the salts. Okay, these are the few materials. One second. Oh, okay. Then when it contact with human tissues, so most of the corrosives will produce chemical burns with certain other substances as chromic acid produce deep ulceration. Many corrosive substances have defeating action on skin and also may causes dermatitis. Okay, some of the safety precautions to avoid against these hazards. So preventing or minimizing contact between the corrosive substances and skin or mucous membranes and eyes, and corrosive substances should not be allowed to come in contact with materials that may react. One is it should be avoid contact with the humans, and also it should avoid with the contact with materials or where it can react. Then all the containers, pipes, and apparatus installations and structures used for the manufacturing, storage, and transport or use of these substances may be protected by suitable coatings or impervious to the unaffected by corrosives. So these are only suitable materials we have to use for handling of these chemicals. All the containers or receptacles should be clearly labeled to indicate their contents and should be bear the danger symbol for the corrosives. So whatever the containers or receptacles in the sense, again it's a kind of containers where we store the corrosives. They must be labeled to indicate their contents. When I say contents, the chemical which is inside the material. And a high standard of maintenance of good housekeeping is essential, and adequate ventilation and also exhaust arrangement, whether the general or local, should be provided whenever a corrosive toxic gases or dust present. So for every chemical, any chemical, whatever it is the nature, either it is in a liquids or gases or any solids, the ventilation is the key where it can escape uh, the gases or the fumes which is generated, to avoid the generation of excess concentration. Okay. Then personal protective devices should be used depending upon nature of the work, and also the corrosion resistance, and also impervious suits or hand gloves and aprons, and respirators, gas mask or self-contained breathing apparatus, and barrier creams when exposed to an exposure is not severe. So this is also important. We have to use corrosive resistant impervious suits and also hand gloves and aprons, and respirators and gas masks, and also self-contained breathing apparatus and barrier creams. Whenever you are exposed with these chemicals, you can apply barrier creams also. And first aid treatment facility should be provided, and all the concerned should be instructed to follow the safe practices such as prolonged washing with water, and also removing contaminated clothes and seeking immediate medical help. So when I say first aid treatment, the immediate thing is we have to clean the spills, or we have to clean the contamination to, so that it can able to avoid the exposure, and then removing the contaminated clothing. If your clothing is contaminated, you can remove that contaminated clothing and immediately taking the help of medical attention. And safety showers and also eye wash showers should be provided. So this is also very important. By using these two safety showers and eye wash showers, we can avoid the or we can take out the contaminants from the body. Now we'll see storage and the handling of gas cylinders. So most of the familiar who are working with gas cylinders, most of the familiar with, if you see an unsafe and safe handling, and you say unsafe, there is no a chain which is protected to avoid falling from the storage location. It is protected from the fall. Okay. So in factories, we find use of different types of cylinders: oxygen, nitrogen, acetylene, LPG, carbon dioxide, chlorine, or sulfur dioxide. These gases are filled with pressure. Therefore, when they leak, they come out with the force and also pose hazards of fire, explosion, toxicity. So, and it is in pressure, like it will go like in a Diwali rocket. So, we use the firecrackers, the rockets in the Diwali time. So, once you ignite it, it will go as a rocket into the air. So, here also based on the position of the cylinder, it can go any direction. There is no projected direction. Based on the position of the cylinder, it can go. Therefore, some rules are should be observed when to be while following uh, while handling them, and also here are the some of the Indian standards. So useful for the construction, fitting, and testing of the cylinders. I mean, you can use these references for further information. Then we have to first verify the marking number and also company, pressure, weight, capacity, and date of the cylinder before their use. So when it is started, the marking, whether we are choosing the right cylinder or not, or company pressure, weight of the cylinder, all these things we have to check. Then cylinder should be handled in a especially a trolley or gently rolled on its bottom edge, but not on the whole surface. So we can gently roll the cylinder on the up by the bottom, not on the complete surface. It should not be thrown or subjected to undue the force of for damage, and lifting machineries or the magnet should not be used to lift them. Okay, lifting machineries in some cranes or etc. If it is protected under a cage, then it is fine. Otherwise, magnets and all we are not supposed to use. While carrying the chlorine tunnel, a heavy cylinder in a forklift, it should be tied with a chain to prevent the rolling. When if you are handling with the forklifts, so it has to be protected from preventing from the rolling. A long vertical cylinder should be kept upright in its stand or tied with chain to prevent falling. No flammable material should be allowed nearby, and also source of ignition, spark, or flame, electricity, molten metal, etc. So this is also very important. We should not allowed nearby any ignition sources or sparks or any flame, electricity, or molten metals, and must be kept away from the cylinders. Should not be used as earthing. Sometimes the people use, okay, and it is in a metal body, they can use it as an earthing. It is not supposed to be, and it should be protected from excessive heat, cold, and also the dampness, and also the corrosive chemicals. And when it is not in use, whenever the cylinders are not in use, the valve should be kept closed and also covered with cap. If the valve is leaking, it should be repaired by an expert or a trained man. Otherwise, the cylinder should be shifted in a remote open ground. So we should always treat even the empty cylinders also as full. We should not leave them as okay, and it is empty, you can handle it whatever the way we want. No. And that's covered with cap. I mean, cap in the sense valve cap. If the valve is leaking, it should be repaired by an expert and trained man. Otherwise, it has to be taken to the open ground so that it can dilute immediately. And then pressure regulators. So you can use the double regulators for the pressure above 800 psi. A pressure gauge on non-return valves also should be maintained in working order, and a special spanner should be used to close and open the valve, keeping the thread direction in mind, and also the spanner should be kept nearby for the opening or closing of the valves. Sometimes the hose pipes also will have leakage. In those times, it will be easy to uh, close or contain the leakage immediately by shutting off the valve. Then grease or lubricants oil should not be applied on the valves of the oxygen cylinders. Storeroom or gas cylinder should be well ventilated. Filled and empty cylinders should be kept separate. The construction should be fireproof if the flammable cylinders are to be stored. Okay, that is the one. And before testing a cylinder, it should be carefully depressurized. The valve should not be interchanged. So this is also very important. And in case of you're using a pipelines connected with these cylinders, when I say pipeline, these are manifolds. So we used to use the manifolds for the connecting different, number of cylinders together to draw the gas from the all the cylinders to create certain pressure. Should be kept according to the pressure and also the type of the gas. Flexible or plastic pipes for the toxic or highly flammables or explosive gases, hydrogen should be avoided or tightened properly and also replaced in time. No worker died on the spot due to the explosion of hydrogen leaked from the joint of the plastic pipe. The valve should be opened gently and also only as per requirement. Even while handling the cylinders, the valves also you should not open on instantly or on at a sudden. So hence it is pressurized. It will always have a tendency to escape. So all the cylinders when you are opening the valves, you have to open the valves on a gentle manner. Then leakage of flammable gases may be checked by the soap solution or any and the air bubbles, not by the naked flame or lighter. So ammonium by sulfur dioxide and chlorine by ammonium water, and their bottles, which is nothing but the torch. So hence these indicates us the leakage. We can call it as a torch should be kept ready. No leakage should be checked by nose. This is also very important. We should not check our organs to test the leakages. We have to use uh, a suitable other alternatives to find the leakage. Then quantity of cylinders should be restricted if toxic and flammable cylinders are kept in the same shade, and a partition wall should be provided, and a blast wall is necessary for the tightly explosive cylinders. And in a storage of flammable cylinders, electronic wiring fitting should be flame proof, and no smoking notice should be displayed. The quantity is restricted. So again, it is also based on the PESO license. You will get license from the PESO. So according to the license, you have to store. If it is in toxic and flammable cylinders are kept in the same shade, a partition wall should be provided. Same shade in the sense in a same area. And a blast wall is necessary for tightly explosive cylinders, and the storage of flammable cylinders. Electric wiring fitting should be flame proof, and non-smoking notice should be displayed. Flame proof in the sense as we see in different types of flame proof electrical fittings, P type, E type, N type, etc. So those kind of fittings we have to utilize. And also no smoking notice should be displayed. Everything should be double and also well maintained. Fire extinguishers, emergency kit, and PPE should be kept ready. If the storage is open land, and the wire fencing and also lock door should be provided. So we have to use the suitable extinguishing media, and also emergency kits and PPE ready. If it is an open ground, we should have a wire fencing with a lock, so that we can avoid the uh, unauthorized or uh, entry and also handling of cylinders. And gas flow rate may be known by the providing the flow meters or placing the cylinders on weighing platform. Flow rate should be not be extensively increased, and the metal of adapter when the valve should be the same of the same valve to prevent the erosion. Okay, the adapters where we draw the gas, it should be of the same metal, so that we can avoid the erosion at the valves, because two different metals, even steel can able to wear the aluminum or iron also. So we have to use the same kind of adapters to avoid the damage of the threads. Okay, I am stopping here. We have just 3 seconds.